Chan just hyperextending maybe the arm backwards a little bit. The shoulder, there he is, just receiving some treatment and some words of encouragement there from Dr. Zimmerman on the boundary line. As we prepare to start the third term.
I would have to suggest that Michan does come onto the ground. It's almost as good a comeback as Harris, because he came off in a lot of pain, because that shoulder, if it didn't come out, it went very close to it.
But it could also just be restrapped. I mean, that's been restrapped clearly. I mean, it's just if he carries it restrapped, he might feel 95% good enough.
Yeah, but 90%, I guess, fitness level is not going to win this game of football, Tim, because when it comes to the real crunch, he's going to be protecting that shoulder.
Maybe it's just one of the world-famous stingers. Stingers, one of the great words that's come into footy in recent years. Maybe it's just a stinger. Certainly from the Western Bulldogs' perspective, they hope that he's back out and about in this second half. And he was a big hit in the first half. Embley versus Power. Now, that was given a free kick against Andrew Embley there. And Willow, how do you read that?
You're all in it and play on, is how I'd read that. I get a little confused. Maybe the umpire just thought the head-high contact was going to be made.
Certainly shoulder to shoulder, as evidenced by the fact that Power got up, grabbing at his shoulder. There's Chris Grant. The move's been made. He's pushing forward to full forward. Just the one handball in the first half.
Rawlings has gone to Hansen, and I guess they're looking for a rebound from Rawlings.
So a couple of shuffles from Rodney Eade at half-time as we start the third term. West Coast lead it by 19 points. Darcy in the middle up against Cox. Darcy got the tap. Cross got his hands on the football and then his boot towards half forward. Chick trying to stand up in the tackle. Just had it ripped out of his arms by West. Bangs it on the boot towards 50. Power and Embley. Power got to the front. Embley affected the spoil. Here's Cousins off half back. Motors away through the middle of the ground. Looks up. Wide open forward 50. Darcy trying to get across to cut off the Lynch lead. Did it well. Got hands on the ball. Followed up by Hansen. Smith, ineffective handball. Received it back from McMahon. Heads out towards the boundary line, but Cousins will get there first. Inside 50, Matera. Harris got an all-important hand in there. And Murphy can now relieve from half-back. Tumbling kick towards the wing made life awkward for West. One-on-one with Fletcher. Went off the deck, did West, but it's all West Coast. Braun. Time to look up. Assess the options. High to 50, it's all Bulldogs. And Darcy with the uncontested mark.
Absolutely no option for West Coast. Just caught in a quagmire. Just almost a Bermuda Triangle there.
Eagleton waited. Braun attacked it. Ball spills to Sampi. And Darren Glass just gets a sniff of a goal every week now. He's starting to feel very confident. Too far out to score here. Just kick it 30 out. Phil Matera and Hansen. Ball spills. Here's Phil. Spinning. Phil Matera. Is this going to break it for him? Yes, it is. I can feel the floodgates open now, Philip. He knows what that goal means. I'm sure they all do. And Cousins has gone to him. They've all gone to him. They understand it's been one heck of a month.
He almost set himself to go for the mark and had to correct, I guess, his attack on the football. Kept his feet. Hansen did the right thing, brought the football to the ground. Stay on your feet, Phil. Stay down on the ground, and that's where your goals will come. That's where he pulled that one off.
Been a super player over the years for the Eagles. Only one man, Peter Sumic, has kicked more goals than Philip Matera for the West Coast Eagles. And more importantly than that, the margin now 25 points. It's a game high. And the Bulldogs now under some severe pressure. Cooney laid some body on Stengline. Got it out to Judd. Now Chick. Eagles with their tails up. Here's Cousins. Handball to himself. We'll pick up 2 stats for that. Twisting and turning. Gives it away to Chick. Now Glass and now Cousins on the end of it again. 55 out. Corral to the line. Got it to Chick. Awkward kick to the top of the square. Numbers there for the Eagles. Graham couldn't quite. Fletcher did. He's got 3. Tim Gossage mentioned the floodgates. Well, suddenly it's out to 31 points. Just the start the Bulldogs were desperately trying to avoid.
And the floodgates were there because the Western Bulldogs once again just flooding the forward 50. West Coast players just taking their time. Daniel Chick did it very well. Measured the kick by just popping it up to the big man. Graham brought it to ground. And Fletcher really is cutting up Scotty West now because that's 3.
So the Eagles get a couple of goals, and all of a sudden the game is starting to slip away from the Dogs. Now, Darren Glass has gone forward, so he's dragged Chris Grant inside the defensive 50, and there's plenty of tall timber down there. Graham, Lynch, Hanson, Glass. So all-out attack for West Coast.
And Grant was pushed forward to give him the tall option. The move, is it Glass or was it Grant's move?
Cox up. Umpire down. Banfield. Just enjoying a wonderful season, Drew Banfield. Fletcher. Kick was intended for the lead of Lynch. Chris Grant. Griffin. Good mark.
Just no key forward. The Bulldogs, again, they'll have to go square.
20 scoring shots to 9. Griffin hangs onto the ball a long time. It was an ordinary kick off the boot, but in the end, effective. Cross to Gilby. 3 goals, and well done, Power. Got away from Embley. Chip over the top. Gian Syracuse up. It's a good build-up from the Bulldogs, and Gian Syracuse will kick from 40. Tough angle, but favoured by the right boot. That's what's ahead of him. As you mentioned, Peter Wilson at half-time, just the 5 possessions. Daniel Gian Syracuse to try and get one back. They need it, the Dogs. From 45 metres out. He just didn't strike it at all. And Dean Cox, where all good big men should be, last line of defence.
That would absolutely drive Rodney Eade crazy. An uncontested mark on your own goal line. And now they can run it out with the greatest of ease as well. Wirapunda over the top, and Judd suddenly slipped his man around the wing. Can go to Fletcher. They're lining up at the moment, and these are all crucial midfielders for the West Coast Eagles. Just unmanned. Embley runs on hard. Had a couple of metres on McMahon from 65 out. Pulls it back to centre half forward. What a setup from the Eagles. Graham couldn't quite hang on to it. Chick run down by Rawlings. Vigorous tackle. It lingered. Umpire said play on. Eagles into Power. And now Cross. Again, the Bulldogs can counter-attack. Here's Gian Syracuse on centre wing. No one inside 50. Johnson over the top to West. Cousins rides him into the ground. Gives up a free kick. And that'll allow West Coast to get some numbers back.
It just dropped to his knees. Scotty West knew exactly what was coming. That's experience. Look, he just knew he had no other choice to.
Goes short. The lead's on. Good mark. Great hands. Ryan Griffin, we've seen twice in the last couple of minutes. He has got very strong hands on the lead. Everything he's done this afternoon is reeked of class.
Showing a lot of patience, the Western Bulldogs players, on their disposal. They're just not turning the footy over there. Take their time, wait for something to come, and just don't pump it forward.
First kick was a goal on the run. Let's see what the youngsters like now from a set shot and all the pressure that entails. Dogs desperately need this one. Ryan Griffin, just outside 50, keeps it low, punches through it. He is a class act. Ryan Griffin gets his second goal. And there's something for Bulldogs fans to be excited about. What a prospect.
Very strong mark. Banfield, nothing you could do there. Right on his mettle. Can't ask any more than your backman to be side by side with the opposition. Just a tough, strong mark overhead.
Couple of goals off the boot of Ryan Griffin. The Dogs have got it back to 25 points. 8 minutes have elapsed in this third quarter. Judd wrapped up by Cross. Darcy trying to back heel it out of that pack. And here's Judd, just ever dangerous. Glass and Grant, the veteran, flicks it back. Selwood pulled that ball, almost reached over the top of Smith and pulled that ball underneath the Bulldogs forward. The ball up, Sampi comes off, Adkins on. Got to string a couple together now, the Dogs. They've got one in this quarter. Cox wins it down. Fletcher through traffic. Quick kick. Glass under pressure. Has Braun outside. Braun left foot. Tries to bend it back. Jones is looming!
He's gone for that, Jones. He'll put his hand up. He signalled that. Michael Braun, great vision. Just squaring that football up. That was just champagne football.
Brett Jones had a couple of chances. A couple of points. This is the basic goal. 30 metres out, virtually directly in front. Brett Jones. He's kicked 3 behinds.
4 now for his career. That was his chance. The first goal in league footy for Brett Jones, playing game number 12. Have to wait. 26 points the margin. Bulldogs play the huddle at centre-half back, as you can see. They now break towards the commentary side, looking for an open option, and that one is Rawlings. Now they look to switch to the opposite side of the ground, known in football vernacular as the fat side, where all the space is, because all the players have drifted one way. Now it's going back the other. Cooney just got himself out of step, dropped the football. Stenglein can link up. Here's Selwood from just outside 50. Rawlings got to stand tall and does. Good strong grab. Again, we see the danger of a turnover in a game like this, where the players are just streaming up and down the ground in waves. Your teammates can be hopelessly out of position. Chris Grant, it's been a struggle for him this afternoon. Johnson under pressure from Chick, tried to get it to Griffin. Did well, swatted a couple of tackles aside. Can't help but be impressed with Ryan Griffin. Gene Syracuse has got power. One-on-one with Embley. Steps inside. He's now led too close to him. He can't kick it to him anymore. There's nothing to go to. Griffin over the top. Eagleton's got to run hard to create an option in the pocket. Tucked away on the wrong side. Goes with the right boot and misses. Power led Gene Syracuse by dummying and trying to run around where Punda left himself with nothing to kick to.
Carrying the football, just hanging on to it too long. No options forward, and that's what happens when you're playing so far behind the football. Just no one to kick it to. Everyone's trying to out-sprint each other towards the forward 50.
Power had let himself out of the marking zone. He was suddenly too close and not in a position to be able to receive it. Darcy got into the back of Jones. That could be 50. Umpire says no.
It's extremely frustrating as a forward when you lead players hanging to the ball and just don't deliver.
Especially when you got your man beaten like Power did on that occasion. He had a couple of metres. All he needed to do was just get it out in front of him and he would have had it. Hanson dropped the mark. Rawlings powering over the top of it. They all stopped. Play on was the call though. Embley poked it out towards Glass. He's got a couple of metres on McMahon. Handball was awkward for Adkins. Gilby read it and slapped it to the line.
Your full back playing up on the forward line, you're going to see silly mistakes like that. Should have been a quick kick just inside the forward 50. Would have been a lot better than handballing that off and putting your teammate under the pump.
Here they go again, Minson and Cox. Oh, Judd. It's a highlights reel. That is as good as it gets.
That, for me, is goal of the year. He has just come straight through the middle of that pack. No one else but Chris Judd has the ability to do this. This is unbelievable. Pinball stuff.
Despite the lack of space, no one actually got body on him, hand on him, anything on him.
Just the way he moves, turns. He just has this ability, Chris Judd, either to shake off that tackle or just not get a tackle on.
Aren't we spoilt when the special can become so commonplace? With Chris Judd, you look at it and go, oh, there's another Chris Judd goal. That was absolutely sensational. 31 points the margin now. And the Eagles on the verge of cracking this one wide open. Cox gets it inside 50. Harris soccers off the deck, desperate for the line, and Adkins takes it there, throw in. Tactical question for you. Chris Grant starts forward in this quarter. Glass drags him to the opposition forward line. Why wouldn't Rodney Eade leave Grant up forward and say, righto, we'll play Russian roulette and we'll have a loose man up in our forward line as well?
Well, that's what I'm not too sure. If the move hasn't been made by Eade to take Grant back.
Because if he wanted him forward, why wouldn't he leave him there?
Exactly, he should run straight back. There's definitely that move has been made for Grant to go back. Rodney Eade needs to make the change.
So Rodney going defensive on that one, conceding that move. He's got his reasons. He's a wiser man than I. Hargrave double-fisted away from Phil Matera and will have a throw in. But just interesting, maybe a statement about the mindset and where he sees the game at the moment, and he needs to shore up the opposition, or shore up his defence.
Is he just not trying to get one of his star players back in form?
Minson against Cox. Cox got the tap. It was beautifully crafted as well. Here's Judd again through traffic. Red Sea just parts. Kick was ordinary. Adkins tracks it back under pressure. Now a chance for the Bulldogs to counter-punch as Darcy gets it to Smith. Now Power. Cooney. G in Syracuse at 55. No one inside 50. He's got to go for it. And his goal kicking has lacked confidence so far this season. Daniel G in Syracuse. And that one just trickles in for a minor score. He's kicked 1 goal 4 for the season. And we saw earlier in the quarter one that didn't actually make the distance at all.
Should have just kicked that football a lot flatter. If he wanted to run through a goal, you're just not going to kick it with, height and volume. It's always going to bounce out.
Time is now for the Bulldogs. They trail by 5 goals. We're halfway through the third term. They must make a move. Get some momentum back in the game. Because at the moment, West Coast are doing pretty much what they like, and you sense it's only a matter of time. Braun to Glass. Hasn't got one player behind him. Hence, there's a lot of congestion in front of him. Back to Braun. Didn't panic. Embley. And now Cox around the outer wing. Handball to Braun. Kept running, did Michael Braun, to create an option. Gets to within 60 of goal. Goes to the danger zone with the danger man, Phil Matera. 20 metres out directly in front. As I mentioned, you're getting the feeling that the Bulldogs are completely reactive now. And it's just, they're right for the picking with the Eagles.
The Western Bulldogs also are really getting their opportunities from rebounds. West Coast now just using the football better. Phil Matera has been the target for the last 3 or 4 sorties forward. They're trying to get him in touch.
Goal number 2. Snuck it in, has he? The body language wasn't great, but the relief was obvious. Phil Matera boots his second. The margin out to 36 points. And in this term, West Coast have added 4 goals, 1. The Bulldogs, 1 goal.
Well, the uncontested possessions really are starting to mount up now for West Coast. Western Bulldogs just miles away from their opposition, making it very, very easy to start getting possessions. And I can tell you this guy would be very happy about that. Phil Matera, well, that just snuck home.
Inside 50s this quarter. Inside 50s this quarter, 11-3 in favour of the Eagles. It really is one-way traffic.
4 goals to 1 in this term. Minson swats it down. There he is again. Judd, just too easy. Kicks to half forward. Hanson hit him on the back. Almost a drop kick from Hargrave. Embley didn't have it. Graham, quick give. Fletcher, Chad Fletcher. His 4th goal was looming. Chris Grant. He's been called to play on. Cousins worked his way to the front, the 2 number 9s. Gilby forced to defend. Lindsay Gilby, been outstanding, 3 goals. All long-range efforts.
Darcy now going to the forward line for the Bulldogs.
Here is Judd again. Squeezes out a hand pass to Braun. He's been dangerous today, Michael Braun. Spearing kick to the front of the square. Now, Eagleton's run on for Griffin, if he can find him, and kicks to open space. Cousins is working hard to try and level this ball. Eagleton, a cheeky bounce. Taken by Rapunda. He's also been outstanding. Doesn't put a foot wrong now. On the rebound again, West Coast. Lynch Inside 50 now. Numbers, well, they certainly don't favour Matera. 3-on-1, Seaby swats it down. Matera takes on Minson, tackles him, David and Goliath stuff to the boundary line. Phil Matera argues the point. Brian McLaren said no, he disposed of it by a boot. Did Will Minson. Phil starting to get his touch, starting to get involved. Things are starting to go his way.
You just got to keep working away at it harder and harder. Phil's doing that. Great tackle.
Cross just plucked it out of the air, that contest. Now, Johnson was a low percentage hand pass from Cross. Here's Judd, barely goes to ground. He was swung and he went out of bounds by McMahon. Ben Cousins has been working extremely hard. 20 possessions, 8 kicks, 12 handballs. Kicked the goal. Captain looking for some petrol tickets. Inside 50, Seaby. Burst, took a heavy knock prior to half-time. Here go the Dogs. Smith on the up to West. Power from 60 metres out. Does he strike it well enough? Wapunda getting back. Doesn't get back. A much-needed goal for the Dogs. They're 9th.
The continued set play for Western Bulldogs is they just bring all their forwards up and are just pounding the football as long as they can, just hoping for it to run through. Power did it this occasion, and Widdopunda just not been able to get back quick enough. We saw it earlier in the game, first quarter. Andrew Embley couldn't do it, and this time Widdopunda, quick kick, quick goal.
Margin back to 30 points. Sam Power's first goal. It's under 7 minutes remaining till three-quarter time. It's back to 5 goals. The Bulldogs can grab another 1 or 2 before three-quarter time. They're back in it. Interesting to see Chris Grant has gone back to full forward now. So Rodney Eade changed his mind on that matchup once again, trying to orchestrate what he had in mind at the start of the third term. Great work from Johnson and Darcy to combine. Got it to Burst. He got it to Gene Syracuse at 65 from home. And here is Grant on the lead. Good fist from Jones. It was well timed. Glass wrapped up by Griffin. Brought under pressure as well. Glass takes it towards the line, then wins it himself. Runs into Minson, going nowhere there. Chick to Braun. Fletcher's going to be run down by West and gone. Play on, it's spilt free. Chance for the Doggies. Griffin was legged. Advantage paid. Cross. Gilby sold a dummy. Chick got him from behind. And now a turnover for the Eagles. Hance on a searching lead. He's got 15 metres on Jade Rawlings. Can go over the top to Embley running hard. It was off the side of the boot and out of bounds on the full. Bulldogs just rallying themselves for an assault late in this term. As West comes off, he'll be replaced by Cam Faulkner. Ball's with Rawlings at half back. Straight up the middle to Minson. Just opening up for the Dogs at the moment. Gilby been effective this afternoon. Inside 50. Grant over the top, splits the pack. Umpire calls play on. It goes out of bounds. Chris Grant landing heavily.
He's looking a lot more dangerous up there in the forward line. By putting Grant, at least to have a target. You need Grant, Darcy, just one of the tall timber to give you a long option.
Landed very heavily on that left elbow. And let's hope it's not a shoulder problem. Severe impact. Minson tried to take it out of the ruck. Johnson hoisted high in the air. Will go back after his own kick. Wapunda slaps towards the line. Selwood. Fortunately, as it turns out for the West Coast Eagles, it was over the line before he kicked it because Rowan Smith was ready to pump it straight back inside 50. Have a throw in. Dogs with 5.5 minutes to rectify this situation. They trail by 5 goals. They really are gritting their teeth in the last 5 or 6 minutes to just try and haul themselves back into it for a last quarter assault. They have been great finishes, as have the West Coast Eagles. So the Dogs would still have some belief that they can run over the top. Wapunda across the body. Gilby again. Takes on Seaby. Spears inside 50. That was the kick that needed to be precise. Wapunda to tidy up. He's got support. The Eagles work it out comfortably towards the outer wing. And now they've got some numbers. It suddenly opens up. And they counter-punch. Fletcher to Braun. Streaming through the middle of the ground. Has got numbers outside. Goes in that direction to Graham. On the run from 48. Jamie Graham sets sail for home. Harris will get across and get a hand on it. So the Eagles took a A leaf out of the Bulldogs playbook on that occasion. Forced a turnover, streamed forward hard, but the kick didn't quite have the carry, and Brian Harris was able to get across, and he's now got the football.
16-8, those inside 50s. That's a damaging stat. The Dogs just won't go away. Margin 5 goals. Seen some brilliance from Judd. Phil Matera finding the footy. This man, Lindsay Gilby's been outstanding for the Dogs. In the middle of the ground bursts. They want to get it on. Grant lost it. Ball spills, came off glass. Here's Johnson inside 50. Short pass, didn't travel the required distance. Chris Grant forced to go with the left boot. That is a goal. Margin back to 4 goals. Dogs just keep on barking.
Daniel Chick's just been labouring the last couple of minutes, and he's now coming off for a spell to be replaced by Stenglein, and Bowden will come on to replace Will Minson.
You can just see the West Coast Eagles players not showing too much respect in the back half at the moment. They're standing 2 and 3 metres off their opposition players, allowing the Western Bulldog boys just to pinpoint their passes. You can't afford to give 1 or 2 metres at this level. You've got to be side by side if you're playing in the back half.
We mentioned at half-time that the Bulldogs have an ability, much like the Kangaroos, to just hang in games. Chris Judd's trying to slam the door on their fingers. Spears towards Hansen. It was tidy. Judd will run on. Griffin's got the presence of mind to go with him. So Hansen looks elsewhere. Judd now uses umpire Scott McLaren as a screen. Hansen wants to give it off. Brings it across the ground. Lynch has got the sit. It was a beautifully weighted kick. Brad Johnson swings around in frustration and says, well, he's too big for me. Who's supposed to be on him?
Perfectly weighted pass. Hansen just picked it beautifully.
The answer was Brian Harris to that question. Of course, we know Brian Harris coming into the game with some problems, so you expect him not to be at his explosive best. And Lynch used it to good effect on that occasion. The 2 behinds in the game. That trend continues. Make it 3. Behind in each quarter for Quinton Lynch. Just letting the doggies off the hook a little. The margin 26 points. Well into time on in the 3rd term. Here's Judd again, just reading it off the hands of the pack.
Quinton Lynch really just needs to kick through his ball at the moment. He's just stabbing at it. Stabbing at it with a bit of velocity, but just needs to follow through his kick.
Rawlings, and it's set up for Stenglein. Sampi looking to create, inboard to Judd, and he's got it right on 50. He's got a man in space, spots him, delivers. The kick had too much on it. Graham, awkward one for him. Tidies up at ground level. Handball off to Matera. Matera from the pocket. Drifts across the face at 2-on-1. It clears the line. Minor score to Phil Matera. And again, the Eagles landing a couple of punches, but none flush on the jaw at the moment.
The kicking from Jade Rawlings, he is just out of touch at the moment. There was an ordinary kick. It's twice we've seen direct turnover from the Western Bulldogs on their kickouts.
Margin 27 points. It's 19 at half-time. Gilby forced to do it at both ends. Good kick, good mark under pressure too from Cross, and he just got on with it quickly. Griffin, short kick to Bowden. Hasn't seen much of it. It's been held. Judd was away.
Johnson by himself.
Darcy marks and then stumbles and then got pinged for holding the ball. Just started to unravel there for Luke Darcy. The intention was right. He wanted to get it on quickly, but lost his footing. Here's Cousins under pressure. Good spoil from Hargrave, and he's been okay, Ryan Hargrave, today. Ben Cousins has been outstanding. He's had 20. Judd's got 26. Braun, 24. Gilby, 22. Johnson and West, 21 and 20, respectively, for the Dogs. Ball clears the ruck contest. Cooney has to lift. Griffin, the shining light. First game, here's Johnson. Has a bounce. Has a second. Chips over the top, didn't quite connect. Here is Grant. Kick 1 on the left. Has now kicked 2 on the left. Chip away the Bulldogs.
Again from a turnover. Johnson called it before. Jamie Graham made the great tackle on Luke Darcy to actually save the last attack. But this time, Johnson just starting to break out and getting some room. Chad Fletcher, probably maybe his direct opponent at the moment.
Change in atmosphere and mindset's been tangible in the last 6 or 7 minutes since the Bulldogs got a goal earlier in the quarter. They still believe. That was the important one. Back to 21 points. 2 minutes remaining in the third term. Cross to Gene Syracuse of the Dogs. No, there's still a chance.
Ooh.
West Coast maybe just taking the foot off the gas a touch. And the Bulldogs will keep coming until the final siren. That's one thing we know about this side. Cross, Griffin unaware, run down and gone. Set up by Daniel Cross. Didn't realise he had Braun behind him. Fletcher. Adkins has got 2 to beat. The boundary line is his friend. He keeps it alive, but he's got now 3 to beat. Needed to take it out. Murphy to Cross. Bulldogs with another chance. A goal here to just before three-quarter time would really put the cat amongst the pigeons. Braun. Adkins. Judd inboard. Graham leads straight up the middle. Cousins there as well, going back with the flight, receives, plays on, kicks to wide open space. Rawlings has got to get across for the Bulldogs. Harris in there. Matera at ground level, twisting and turning. Uses Cousins, can steady from 40, go for home and kick a goal. Rodney Eade suitably unimpressed. Ben Cousins gets his second. And again, that's a stake through the heart. We saw Wirrapun to get one right on the quarter-time siren. That was the one they couldn't afford to concede for all the work and momentum in the last 10 minutes. It's back out to 27 points.
Just came from that turnover. That was a second effort by Adkins. He made a mistake the first area. It was 3-on-1, tapped it back in the inside the corridor, gave Western Bulldogs the opportunity, but he backed it up. Big handball second time to Judd.
Skipper Ben Cousins with his second. And then again, a little stake in the heart of the Bulldogs. They've done so well to hang in there, but the margin back out to 27 points. There's been several goals now in red time for the Eagles throughout this game. And they go forward again through Fletcher to half forward. Hansen works his way to the front. Sampi is just hovering around inside 50. Sampi, he struck it. Okay, no problems with the distance, but went narrow. Cross is coming off the ground. Rodney Eade not happy after that last goal kick. I'm not too sure whether this is a reaction to selling Griffin into trouble. Scott West comes on. So dying seconds, inside 30, still time for either team. The way this game's gone, anything could happen. 28 scoring shots to 15. Eagles by 28 points. It's an ordinary kick off the boot of McMahon. That is just shocking. Off one step, Harris now under pressure and in real trouble. Umpire plays on. Braun, this will really hurt. Cousins has kicked 2 on a threepenny bit. Kick smothered down. They had to do something special in there. The Bulldogs under enormous pressure. They might get away with this. Murphy, and boy, oh boy, they breathe a sigh of relief. 28 points to margin at three-quarter time.
Classic example in the last 30 seconds of the quarter. Football shouldn't be that hard, Willow, but it takes one skill error and the flow-on effect is enormous. Jordan McMahon doesn't hit a target under no pressure, and then you've got 30 seconds of tough scrap with about 6 or 7 players desperately trying to hold back the tide.
It can be lazy football. One kick, one step, one kick.
Can the Doggies do it? They trail by 28 points, three-quarter time at Subiaco.